Good morning, Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another edition of Lovin Daily. I'm your host, Chris Perugine, today joined by Rochelle De Guara, our new host making a debut today. How are you, Rochelle?
Grazzi, Chris. Jena ninsab tajba grazzi u grazzi li l-kull minni tisegwina minn Malta u deċu nafu kolli għanna ħafna telespettaturi Maltin, mill-Australia, l-Ingilterra, l-Kanada, nselmulkom.
Ecco. I'll just start by reading the headlines of today and then we'll start discussing the story. So Grech has been chosen by the PN rebels as Metsola and Comodini Cachia have backed out of the PN race for leadership. Charmaine Gauci returns today with weekly briefings as the COVID numbers continue to spike. We'll talk about everything that happened last night as well in terms of the strike and the new measures that have been introduced. Gzira marathon for frontliners has been cancelled in protest of the doctors' strike. We'll talk about that controversial story as well. A story that we just broke this morning. The worker who was abused by his ex-employer has now filmed his ex-employer trying to bribe him to drop the court case. And we'll end today's program with an update about Cachia. Cachia has raised more than 6,200 euros already. And we have another story coming out right now about how the media stations of Labour and the Nationalist Party should have been fined a combined 56,000 euros for not filing their MFSA records. So, we'll start with the first story. Rochelle, tell us about Grech.
Iva, mela, Chris, Grech il-mażul minn nazzjonalisti mill-Partit Nazzjonalista bħala ribel wara li Metsola u Comodini ma jibqawx fit-tiġrija. Jiena kont vera fiduċjuża f'Metsola u Comodini għaliex kont il-Metsola għandha track record tajjeb bħala MP. Comodini għandha track record tajjeb bħala civil rights lawyer u ħassejt li ħajjisfidaw l-istorja billi jpoġġu l-qudiem mara u ħadd gost. Issa qisu ħajarġgħu jirrepetu l-istorja Grech tajjeb ngħidu li dak in persuna li kampanja wkoll kontra d-divorzju, Chris.
Yes, and I mean, so it was quite a big disappointment, I think, that Roberta Metsola and Comodini Cachia both dropped out of the race. This morning we also had Mark Anthony Samu dropping out of the race. So it's clear that this is going to be a race between Grech and Adrian Delia. Grech seems to have a massive amount of support from the grassroots of the party, despite the fact that he's never really been in politics except to be involved a bit in the anti-divorce movement. So it's another outsider, it's another conservative lawyer for the Nationalist Party. Doesn't have the baggage that Adrian Delia has, so that could be quite interesting and maybe it's a bit different, but yeah, I think it was quite disappointing. And Roberta Metsola said something in her status which was quite interesting as well.
Yeah, she said some ceilings needs a few more cracks before they can be smashed. U din naraħaw kol anka eżempju meta l-Partit Laburista kienet jimbotta għal mexxej ġdid, kien hemm diversi kandidati potenzjali li kienu nisa, iżda mbagħad it-tnejn li ġew ippuxjati kienu irġiel. Jiddispjaċini ħafna meta nara hekk għax nifhmu kemm il-patriarkija għodha fl-eruq tas-sistema tagħna.
I think what must be said as well is the strategy behind having one candidate, right? The point of this was that if there was more than one candidate going against Delia, the leadership contest would have taken longer and would have had to go to the General Council first. But let's move on to the second story because I think time is pressing. Charmaine Gauci, I'm sure everyone's happy about this, is returning today for weekly briefings on the COVID situation. So she'll be giving a press conference at 12:30 today. Yesterday we had 20 new cases, taking the active cases up to 267. There are already rumors, as there usually are in the morning, of more than 50 cases today. So we'll wait to see what Charmaine has to tell us about that. The nurses have called off their strike, but the doctors have not yet done so. There's been there was a late night discussion yesterday between the Prime Minister and the MCSD trying to come up with some new measures. A big contentious point is mass gatherings, right? So there's been an agreement that there will be a new fine for not wearing the masks at buses, at shops, at things like the Gozo channel, new restrictions at and elderly homes. We're not quite sure what's going to happen with mass events yet. What do you think should happen?
Jiena li nista' ngħid ukoll li Malta ġiet ikkonsidrata bħala high risk mis-Center for Disease Control, hija organizzazzjoni Amerikana li qalet biex titjir lejn Malta jiġi evitat jekk ma jkunx essenzjali. Issa inti saqsejtni x'naħseb fuq mass events, tajjeb ukoll insemmu li l-maratona tal-Gżira u xek li ġiet mela din kien ħajkun hemm maratona li ġiet ikkanċellata ħabba protesta għax it-tobba ipprotestaw. Iġifieri din kienet se tkun maratona fl-ilma, ġiet announced mill-mayor tal-Gżira, iżda mhux hu kienet jorganizzaha, kienet jendorsja. X'taħseb fuqha, Chris?
So it must be clear that this marathon, this water treading marathon was being done to thank frontliners, right? And now it's been cancelled because the doctors are striking, and in protest of the doctors' strike is what the mayor said. I don't know, I think it's...
Jiena naħseb li ma kienx l-iktar idea brillanti li jorganizzaw maratona biex jgħidu grazzi u juri gratitudni lit-tobba, għaliex it-tobba qegħdin jgħidu biex in-nies ma jinġabrux flimkien, ġifieri jekk inti tirrispetta t-tobba, żomm id-distanza soċjali, ilbes il-maskla u ħsieb tiegħek innifsek. Barra minn hekk tajjeb ngħidu bil-fines, il-€50 fine ġdida li tħabbret li jekk inti tkun fuq tal-linja ġaħanut jew fuq il-Gozo channel tittilbes il-maskla b'mod bil-forsa x'inkella għandek ċitazzjoni.
We'll move on to the next story. This is a story that we've been following all week. As you know, Orlando John Bright had filmed himself asking for the money he was owed from his ex-employer, who was very abusive and was assaulting him on camera, even sending dogs to him and water and having his father chase him with a shovel. I mean, it was really horrific stuff. We had Orlando on the program a couple of days ago where we announced that he had raised, people had raised more than €3,000 to help support him. And now it emerges that he had another incident with his ex-employer at a police station, which was also filmed, where the ex-employer was telling him to drop the case in return for €700. Orlando did not want to drop the case because he's saying, you know, that is the money he's owed. He should be given that money anyway. But then there is also the other issue, which is that he was assaulted and he was accused of stealing €250. That's something he wants to pursue in court. Once he said he wants to pursue that in court anyway, the lawyer of the ex-employer and the ex-employer himself left the police station, said then we'll see you in court. Yesterday there was also the news that the Director of Industrial and Employment Relations has launched an investigation. So, you know, I think this is an interesting case, not because it is super unique, but probably because there are many cases like it. But what's unique in this case is that the employee actually fought back.
Exactly, u napprezza ħafna meta in-nies ikunu kapaċi jiġġieldu għad-drittijiet tagħhom u jgħidu li hu tagħhom huwa tagħhom. Jiġifieri napprezza immens li dan kien kapaċi ma jaqax għal bribe tiegħu u ikompli u jiġġieled għad-drittijiet tiegħu.
Cool, and we'll move on to the next story. Today we've got an interesting guest on Lovin Daily, John Mallia from Cachia. Just before we introduce him, I just want to give you a bit of an update on the fundraiser. We've raised €6,200 for the campaign to end political party TV stations. John, thanks for being with us. Come on, have a seat there.
Merba maħna fil-program.
Merba li li, inċa u l-erba.
Mela, bonġu.
So John, first of all, maybe you can give us a brief about what your program was all about and why it struck a chord with people.
It really did strike a chord. So the program is about political parties having their own stations. Naħseb li speċta kien importanti naħseb dan il-ċisma xuwa jina ħoss il-komunikazzjoni hija speċta facet ċentrali ta' x'inhi d-demokrazija. Sfortunatament inħoss li kultant id-dialogu politiku f'dan il-pajjiż għandu tendenza jiddeġenera li ma jibqax dialogu ma jsir serje ta' insulti nħoss li huwa diviżiv ħafna. U naħseb inħoss li il-partiti politiċi mhux tal-li ma jikkontribwixxux biex din il-ħaġa tieqaf biex is-soċjetà tmur għall-aħjar, imma minflok kważi jikkontribwixxu biex din il-ħaġa tipperpetwa ruħha b'tali mod li l-status quo jibqa' biżejjed jingħad li speċjali fl-Ewropa ma teżistix tagħmel. Din ma teżisti imkien fl-Ewropa. Malta biss ħanġerħuha apparti li mhux kostituzzjonalment vijabbli, ġifieri l-Kostituzzjoni ċarament tgħid li daw mhux suppost jeżistu. Issa, vera, speċjali, da qisu tafx qisu men. Meta konna żgħar pereżempju jiena uħti jew taqbadni b'sigarettu jien naqbadha bil-boyfriend diħel id-dar. U t-tnejn niftehmu lil mami mhux se ngħidula. Da taf kif.
Yeah, because and in fact we've got an update on this very point. The party stations Net and One should have been declaring their accounts like any other company on the company registry. It's been more than a decade since both of them have done so, and in fact today we've revealed that what they should have been fined for all this time is a combined 56,000 euros. So they should have been fined this amount of money, but none of them were, and it's no doubt that
perswas l-kaxxa ta' Malta fl-istat li qiegħed issuq bħalissa 56,000 euros noħduhom bro meta tit. Naħseb, jiena iltqajt ovvjament ma' ħafna nies, il-programm għamel ripple effect mhux ħażin fis-soċjetà, kien hemm ħafna li qablu, kien hemm ma qabilx, and that's fine, għax jiena inħoss li rridu nsibu common ground, u kif qed ngħid li nitajru mhux setejn. Li huwa interessanti dwar speċjal respons li kellna kien il-fatt li mhux sempliċement nies li huma speċjal politically area u taw il-messaġġ tagħhom ta' appoġġ il dal-video, ma kien hemm nies mix-xena tal-boxing, speċjal nies l-iprem nies mix-xena tal-boxing tista' tgħid, kien hemm nies mix-xena mużikali, nies mit-tribali pereżempju, kien hemm nies mill-atletika li xerjaw u ħassew kemmu vitali dan il-punt, kemmu ċentrali li speċta din issa in-nassa li tefawna fiha, ninħelsu minna biex il-pajjiż ikun jista' jkompli jġeddet u jimxi l qudiem.
And now we will also have a court case beginning, so maybe a bit of an update on that, what this money is going to go towards.
Eżatt, bħalma ingħad fil-video jekk forsi qastafu fuq nitkellem ġifieri nħeġġitkom lill-video tmorru ssibuh qed fuq il-page tal-Lovin Malta.
Kaxxaturi.com.
U kaxxaturi.com. Telajni fuq kaxxaturi.com għandek kaxxaturi.com ukoll. Ninsa li għandu website kull filgħodu ninsa. Kull filgħodu jfakruni. Issa bħalma ngħid fil-video mhux l-idea ma fatwalment li se jseħħ huwa li ħaniltaqgħu ma' xi avukati li huma speċ ta' esperti fil-qasam mod partikolari tal-Kostituzzjoni, ħanfasslu każ għalfej aħna nħossu li daw għandhom itemmu l-operat tagħhom as soon as possible. Fl-istess ħin speċ ta' guys, solidarjetà sħiħa ma' nies li jaħdmu u n-net. Jiena nafkom speċ ta' u l-ħaġa li nafkom bħala nies kapaċi qed tifhimni li f'suq ħieles jien onestament nemmen li tmorru aħjar. Jiġri ma nħoss li għandkom għalfej speċa taqdu xi obbligi propagandistiċi biex intom iġġeddu t-talenti tagħkom. Speċ ta' nifhimkom li forsi li għad jista' jkun inkwetakom, imma jiena għalikom minnix inkwetat għax inħoss li intom kapaċi biex tmexxu l-karriera tagħkom il-qudiem.
Naħseb li x'jumiex is-suq ħieles għax ma nsibx problema bl-televiżjoni jkun tal-istat, li xjuqi li t-televiżjoni jkun ta' partit politiku. Jiġifieri hemmhekk meta inti għandek il-propaganda li jiena nara l-news fuq il-wan jisni qed ngħix fil-ġenna, mbagħad niftaħ il-net u jisni qed ngħix imkien viċin l-infern. Dik il-problema nuqqas ta' verità mhux.
So ħiles naħseb importanti wkoll għax naħseb biex ta'
żgur.
Naħseb it-tagħmel punt validissimu, speċta importanti, speċta meta jisaqsuni, speċta m'intix imparzjali, speċta din hija waħda mill-akkuż li that's leveled towards me. U jiena ħoss li le m'iniex imparzjali, ovvjament jien għandi bias lej il-verità kif nifhimha jien, ma mhux bias lej partit politiku li għandu aġenda li eventwalment irid immexxi pajjiż jew qed immexxi pajjiż u rid jgħid speċjal id-dinja kif inhi, iżda lej soċjetà li tagħmel aktar sens milli għamlet il-bieraħ.
U hemm ukoll punta unfair competition, u xejn.
Mhux hekk speċta da għandhom il-potenzjal żgur li ikunu għandna magni tal-ħasil tal-flus. Aktar minn hekk għandhom il-potenzjal li trading and influence u da, speċta jiena qiegħed fil-gvern nista' ovvjament dak li tieni xerta saħħa għandi stazzjon jekk tixtri naqa' reklami miegħi nirranġaw tagħmel hemm bro dak ħalma nerġgħux insemmi il-ġeti.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you, Rachel. I think this brings us to the end of Lovin Daily, our special episode with John Malia. Don't forget to watch Charmaine Gauci at 12:30 for the latest COVID updates.
Charmaine's back?
She's back this week.
And have a
day full of loving.